Hello everyone, myself is Karuna Gupta and I work as a PGT Computer Science and IP in a reputed Delhi school. In this video today, we shall talk about database concepts and MySQL, which is a topic that's common to both the streams Computer Science and IP. Well, before moving on to the topic, I need to tell you that this particular topic holds 20 marks weightage for computer science and 25 marks weightage for IP in the CBSE examination, which is the 70 marks theory examination. Let's get started. A computer database is an organized collection of related information across various tables. For example, let us say we have a table about student information, another table about mark details, and still another table about the fees details. This would be a good choice for a school database. But if I say I have tables like medicine information and the flight information, which are nowhere related, so these ideally should not be in a database, in a single database. The next important term, DBMS. This stands for Database Management System. Well, it is actually a software which is used to store the records, to make changes to the data, maybe deleting the records, and then retrieve that data back as and when required with proper security measures. Now there are various softwares available in the market. For example, MySQL, Oracle, MS Access, we have Microsoft SQL Server, and then we have OpenOffice.org base. Now let us talk about some of the advantages of a database system. First and foremost, it helps us to control or lessen the redundancy. By redundancy, we mean the repetition of data. Now some of the fields may be repeated in a table or maybe across different tables. And when my database grows large in size, this can become a big storage issue. The second advantage, a DBMS application, it helps us to control data inconsistencies. Now inconsistencies might come in data when I'm dealing with the same data being received from various input sources. As an example, we can say that there might be different client or supplier information coming from different departments. The third advantage, we can enforce standards in our database. Like there might be different company policies as regard to storage of names or maybe date format, any other thing, right? The next advantage, data security. A DBMS application, it helps us to take collective measures to protect a database from unauthorized use as well as from malicious data attacks. Next, data sharing. We all know that storing the data in a centralized database system, it can help us with various applications as well as various users to share this common data among different users and in various physical locations as well. Now last but not the least, a DBMS application also helps the data to be integral. That means the data should be complete, accurate and consistent for all users. Now along with advantages, there come a few disadvantages as well. The first one, designing a database can be a complex task if not managed properly. There might also be some hardware and software cost that the company has to incur in the startup. Like a dedicated database may also require dedicated servers, a high-end machine, right? It might also include purchasing of the software applications for a DBMS. Another disadvantage, a damage to the database. This can affect, and it can badly affect, virtually all the application programs which are dependent on this database. Still another, there might be conversion cost, like converting the database from traditional file keeping system to the DBMS. This might include some cost as well. And then the initial training is also required. So this also would result into the monetary cost as well as the man hours. Now students, there are various types of data models available for different DBMS applications. Amongst this, the relational model is the most commonly used models today. The network model and the hierarchical model are not very prevalent nowadays. I'll just give you a brief hint about these two. The network model, it was developed in 1960. The main objective was to separate the data structure from physical storage. Talking about the hierarchical one, this also was developed but in late 1960s. So you can say this hierarchical model, it was identified by IBM, and they saw a huge business world organization data, that the business world data is being stored in form of a hierarchy. We'll not go into much deeper details of these two, as this is beyond the scope of CBSE syllabus. Let's keep our discussions confined to the relational model, which is the most simple and the most commonly used model nowadays around the world for storage and processing. Now, in this relational model, all the data that we are talking about is stored in various relations, or we also call them as tables. This is the first and the foremost important point. We need to understand why we call it relational, because the basic entity is a relation. Now, each of this relation, every relation, it consists of rows and columns. That means the data is arranged in a tabular format. Each relation, it must have a header row which is storing the column names, and then it must have the body, that is the actual set of data. Another important characteristic is the usage of keys. Now there are various keys: primary key, candidate key, alternate key. We shall talk about these later. This is a diagrammatic representation in relational model. Now we have various records. Can you see these horizontal lines? These are called as tuples. Like student ID 1101 for Alex, having age 14, studying in class 9, and the section of student is A. This stores one complete set of information for one object, that is one student. This we call as a tuple, right? When we talk of the vertical columns, like the student ID or maybe the student name, right? So students, these are known as attributes. SID is one attribute, student name is one attribute, student age is another attribute, and so on. And this entire combination of rows and columns, or we can say tuples and attributes, this complete arrangement is called a table or a relation. Now this is one of the examples where I am trying to take three tables: a student table, a course table, and how the students are taking various courses. Now the student table is related with these students taking courses with the help of this common key field which is called as ID. The students taking courses, this table is related with the course table with the help of this class ID. Right? Same way we can have whatever tables we have in our database related to one another. So that is why the relational model. Now there are a few important terminologies in RDBMS. We shall know about each one of these one by one: the entity, relation, tuple, attribute, degree, and cardinality. Let's talk about the entity first. An entity, you can say, it's a real world object. Any object that can be represented in a database. Data can be stored about such entities. There can be various attributes or various pieces of information about this entity. Like we have seen in the previous example, in the previous slide, that there were various attributes about the student entity. So student becomes an entity. We store data for each entity in the form of a table containing information about it, like students, teachers, employees, products, furniture, flight, books, and so on. There can be innumerous entities. Next, we talk about relation. A relation, please remember, we have already talked about, this is also called as a table, right? In a relational database. It is most commonly used to describe the relationships that can be created between these two tables. Then we talk about a tuple. A tuple is a single horizontal row of a table which contains all the pieces of information about that particular object. Right? The vertical columns, they are known as attributes. An attribute, we have to understand that it contains same type of data for all the records. Like we have seen in the previous one, the student attribute of student ID, it contained all the numeric data. For all the students, it contained the same data, that is the ID, right? Now let's talk about degree and cardinality. Degree refers to the total number of columns, or you can say the total number of attributes in a table. That's called a degree for the table. Cardinality, it refers to the total number of rows in a table. Students, please remember this. This is very important and it's often asked in the CBSE question papers. Very often. Now, the next topic, keys. A key with respect to DBMS, you can say it's a field or maybe it's a combination of various fields that can be used to retrieve or maybe for the sorting of rows, ascending or descending order in a table based on certain requirements. The keys also help us to speed up the access to data. And in many cases, we can also create the links between different tables. Now there are various keys. First and foremost, let us understand the primary key. It is a column, or you can say a group of columns, which helps in a table to uniquely identify each and every row in that table. That means no two records can have the same value for a primary key. Next, we talk about the candidate key. In a table, all the key columns that qualify to become a primary key. That means all of these columns, they do not allow duplicacy. Such columns are called candidate keys. The primary key should be selected from one of the candidate keys. each table must have at least one single candidate key, at least. For this example, let us say we have the student ID and the roll number. Now both of these, they can be the candidate keys. Next, alternate key. All the candidate keys except for the primary key. When we remove the primary key from the set of these candidates, whatever is left, that is called as the alternate key. Like in the previous example only, we have taken the student ID, the roll number, now we have also added email. They are equal candidates for becoming the primary. So there are 3 candidate keys. But since I have taken student ID as the primary key, so roll number and the email ID, they will become the alternate keys. I hope this is clear. It can be made more clear from this example. There are 3 candidate keys: student ID, roll number and email. Since I have chosen student ID as the primary key, so the remaining 2, roll number and email, they will be called as the alternate keys. The last, a foreign key, it is used to link 2 tables together. A very important point. It is a column, or we can say a combination of columns whose values are derived from the primary key of some other table. Let's take an example. We have a department table and then we have a teacher table. Department table mein we are having a department code. In the teacher table also we have teacher ID, first name, last name and a department code to whatever department the teacher belongs. Since this column is joining both the tables, right? But there can be multiple teachers in a particular department. So department code is, which is a primary key in my department table, it serves as a foreign key for the teacher table. Now this is a very frequently asked question, difference between primary key and foreign key. Please understand that first and foremost difference, primary key, it helps you to uniquely identify a record within a table. Whereas the foreign key, it is a field that is the primary key of another table, right? Primary key will never accept the null values. No null values are allowed. Whereas a foreign key may accept some null values, or for multiple records it may accept. The third point can be that you can have only one primary key in a table, but you can have multiple foreign keys inside a table. So please note this is very important. The last topic that we are taking today is the referential integrity. Now, referential integrity is a very important concept which comes into effect when we have data that is linked to other tables. Now, when I'm maintaining the link across 2 different tables, they must maintain the referential integrity. This concept can be enforced by using the primary key and the foreign key concept. We have studied that just now. When we are setting the referential integrity, we need to check on the following conditions. First, the matching field, the common key field across the 2 tables. It should be from the primary table as the primary key. The related field, they should be of the same data type in both the tables. Like it cannot be if I am having department code as a number in my department table, in my teacher table it serves as a character. No, this cannot be. They both have to be either number or they both have to be character data. Both the tables should belong to the same database. Very important. Now, when I have set up this referential integrity using the primary key and foreign key, the following things will automatically be enforced. We cannot change the primary key value in the primary table if it has related records in the other table. Students, for this, please take into your mind the department table and the teacher table that we have considered earlier. Let us say if I am having a department 001 in my teacher table, that is the related table, can I now change this value 001 in the main table, that is department table? No, I cannot do so. Because if I do this, the table, the related value in my teacher table, that will be orphaned. That will be hanging loose without any connect. Right? Second, it is not possible to enter values in the foreign key field which do not exist in the primary key. I cannot have any department for a teacher which is not existing in the department. I hope that makes sense. Third, we cannot delete a record from the primary table if there are matching records in the related table. Similar to that, if I have a teacher belonging to department 001, I cannot delete that department. Again, the same thing, the teacher record will be orphaned. It will not have any connect if I delete that department. I hope that makes it clear. We shall be taking up rest of the concepts in the next video that's coming soon. So keep watching.